Okay, in our past videos, we've talked a lot about Python data types, different ways of using them and stuff like that. And we've never actually, programmed really. We've just been studying Python data types all the time. Now, today, we're gonna feel more like programmers. We're gonna make something of ourselves. We're gonna work with something called Python conditional statements. They allow you to make decisions in your code, which kind of makes you the programmer here. Okay, so just by saying Python conditional statement, this line here tells us that there's actually kind of two things in here. There is something called statement, right? So there is a statement because you cannot have a conditional statement without a statement. So that also says there's also something called a condition. Okay, so we're gonna discuss them one by one. Okay, what is a statement? Now, first of all, you might think that you know what is a statement. Yeah, and you might know what is a statement, but I'm gonna explain it for those who don't. Okay, a Python statement is simply an instruction that the interpreter can execute. It is an instruction that performs something. Okay, maybe it assigns something to something. For example, you create a variable, you have a statement, or maybe you use if else statements, something like that, or you made an import statement. That is a statement. Now, under statement, now that you know what is a statement, but you should also know what is not a statement. Now, what is not a statement? We have certain things that are not considered statements. For example, these comments that I'm doing right now, they're not Python statements. They're just things that the interpreter can ignore. So you cannot say that this is a statement. I'm going to give you an example, okay? Let's do this, remove this comment, okay? Let's say we have a statement that says uh, print. Because we're calling print function, we're making a statement because it makes Python do something. It doesn't ignore this line. It has to print 2 plus 3. Okay, so this is a print statement. But under it, I can come here and just do another thing. Let's say maybe 3 plus 5. So if I come here and run this program, Python will ignore this line number 4 because it's just sitting there. It's not doing anything. So you can call this an expression. It's not a statement. It's just something that you wrote. Python knows what it means and it knows the answer, but it's not actually doing anything. You didn't tell it to do anything. It's just sitting there. It will not throw an error. It's nothing. So yeah. So if I run this program, we're gonna see that there's no result for this 3 plus 5. Nothing is going to be printed out, but 2 plus 3 will be printed out because we tell the Python interpreter to print it. So it's now a statement. Okay, so now we have 5, which is the result of 2 plus 3. That's the result of our statement. Now I hope you get a sense of what is a Python statement and also what is not a statement. Okay, there's a statement which is some Python code that does something, and an expression which is just sitting there not doing anything actually. Okay, so now that we know what is a statement, how about we know what is a condition such that we can discuss further about conditional statements? Okay, so a condition is just simply an expression or a statement that evaluates to true or false. The result of the statement or the expression is true or false. That's actually what a condition is in this context. you're gonna understand. Let me delete this statement and expression. I'm going to explain what is a conditional statement, and then I'm going to write the syntax of writing the conditional statement, and then we're going to do some examples, and maybe you will understand better. All right. So um, now, what is a conditional statement? A conditional statement, as you've already known, there's a statement. So the conditional statement is just a statement that has a condition. So using conditional statements, you can check if a certain condition is met, or in other words, you can check if a certain condition is true or false, and then you can execute different code blocks accordingly. Okay. So for example, you're going to tell your interpreter that if you find this expression to be true, do this block of code, and if you find otherwise, do the other block of code. So that's actually what a conditional statement is all about. But this gives you a lot of power. You have a lot of power in your hand. This makes you the magician, the master of all your code. Okay? You can do whatever you want. You can make decisions, you can tell your interpreter what to do and how to do it and in what manner, in what order. Because hey, you're the boss. And this is why I love conditional statements. You should love them too. They're amazing. They're nice. Every programming language that you know on this planet, at least, has conditional statements. Okay, enough of that. And now, in Python, we have three words that we use to make these conditional statements. You can call them keywords or the magical spells that you can, use to make these kind of things happen. The conditions and the stuff. These keywords are really easy to remember, and they're like normal English. Okay, so let's do something fun here. So this is the syntax of writing a conditional statement in Python. You write the if keyword, which tells your interpreter that, hey, I'm writing a condition. Take note. Okay, so if, and then you type your condition. So we do condition. Okay, I'm not gonna do a comment here. I'm just gonna do condition, since I'm not gonna run it because it will do an error if I run it right now. Yeah, so this is when the Python syntax for indentation comes in. Because right now, if you notice, I typed in if keyword and then I typed the condition. The condition is not this keyword. It's something like, let's say, condition. I'm gonna type it in equals true, for example, to simplify things a little bit. Okay, so let's say if condition, and then take note of this. As I type, as I press enter, it gets indented. It is not right at the edge of this if statement, like in line with the if statement. No, it is now indented. It has two spaces. It is up to you. You can use two spaces or four spaces or whatever it is you want. You can just use tab or whatever, but you have to indent when you define a condition. Okay, and a lot of places, like in your class definitions or function definitions, you're gonna have to indent your code to make a code block. Okay, that's what I'm trying to explain here. So I'm gonna give you an example of a code block here. So you type your condition and then you type what you want the program to do if the condition is met. So for example, here our condition is met because it is true. So we're gonna say print, we're gonna tell it to print. Okay, now if the condition is true, this print statement will work. If it's not, it won't. I'm gonna demonstrate this to you. So if I run this program, we see, hey, this condition is true. Condition is true. Okay, but if I change it to say false, and then I run the program again, we will see nothing. Nothing will happen because yeah, the condition is not met. It's not true. Yeah, so I hope you got what I'm saying. So if the condition is not true, you're gonna have to do something else. Like you don't just do nothing. You have to do something. Okay. So you can specify an else statement. That's the other magical spell that you can use. So if you type an else, it's a complete statement on its own. So you can just do a colon and then you will indent once again. Even if it doesn't indent automatically, you will kind of do your spaces or just a tab, whatever it is you prefer. I prefer to use spaces, but you can do whatever you want. Okay, and then I'll print condition is now false. Now if I run this program again, I'm gonna see obviously condition is now false because yeah, it is. Okay, if I change this to true and then I run the program again, we're gonna see that hey, condition is true. Okay, I'm gonna do a little recap once more. So here I'm saying that this is the syntax for writing an if statement. Okay, a conditional statement in Python. So if you write the if and then you write your condition and then you write you indent after the colon of the condition, after the condition you type a colon and then you indent. That means you're telling Python that, hey, I'm gonna write a block of code right here that belongs to this if statement. Okay, and then if this condition is met, yeah, voila, it'll execute this code. But if this condition is not met, then it will check the else statement and then print whatever it is you prefer. You define that, say, hey, if that condition is not met, do this. Okay, so I told you that we have three magical spells that we're gonna use here. Okay, so there's a third one, but it's mostly used in the middle instead of you know in the instead of in the end. I just thought it will be easier for you to understand it if you know ifs and else, and then the else if will now be easier to grasp. Elif means else if. So yeah, it's just saying that else if there's this condition is not met, then it will check out this and say uh, let's say I'm gonna change this condition. I'll say and say age equals 18. So now if age is greater than or equal to 18, so if age is greater than or equal to 18, we're gonna print you can vote. Else if age equals to, let's say, 17, then under here we're gonna print something else too. And then if none of that condition is met, you just print you're too young to vote. Yeah, exclamation point. Here we're basically saying this is the age variable. Okay, and the condition we have here is this expression, or I can say statement, whatever. If the age is greater than or equal to 18, you can print that hey, you can vote. Okay, but else if the age is equal to 17, so this is the equal sign in Python. This is called assignment operator because it's used to assign values to variables, but this one is the equals to, like the mathematical equals to, instead of this one. Okay, so here we're basically saying that else if age is equals to 17, then we are saying that you have 1 year to go. You can vote in 1 year. Else if, that means if the person is not above 18 or equals to 18 years old and is not 17 years old, then we'll tell him, hey, you're too young to vote. Yeah, so that's how to use kind of conditional statements in Python. Okay, so let's do a quick recap and then we'll wrap it up. I told you that whenever you hear something like conditional statements, you know that there are two things involved. There are statements and conditions. A statement is simply a line of code that makes the Python interpreter do something. Okay, and also a condition is just a something that evaluates the true or false. It can be an expression or a statement. That is a condition. So I give you an example. I say we can say um, age equals to 18, and we will check if the age of the person is 18, and then we print that he can vote. Else if the age is 17, we tell him you have 1 year to go. And then otherwise we tell him you're too young to vote. So now if I test this, is it tells me that hey, I can vote. What if I do the age now is 17, and then I check again? It tells me that you have 1 year to go. Okay, I can just do 16 or 15 or maybe anything like that, and it will tell me you are too young to vote. You cannot vote. You're too young. Go away. Okay, so I think this should give you some foundation on how to use Python if, else, and Elif statements.